Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Ridgecrest City Council. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order with roll call.
Mayor Bruin,
Here.
Mr. Blades,
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Present.
Mr. Heyman,
Present.
Ms. Breeden. Present. 5 present, we have a quorum.
Okay. First item is our approval of our agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and second.
Please vote. Five ayes, motion carries.
Great. We'll go ahead and begin tonight's session by joining us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? And Mr. Reed, since you won't get another opportunity at this, so. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Councilman Rajaratnam.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this great country which you have given to us, Lord. I ask you for your protection over our country. Lord, let this country be a beacon of hope, a resemblance of freedom and a resemblance of hope for many nations. Lord, this week as we celebrate the United States Constitution, the greatest document of America, Lord, let this document be a testament to the tenacity of the Americans throughout the history who stood for freedom, who stood for liberty, and who stood for their inalienable rights. Lord, let our citizens never forget to defend our Constitution. Lord, may we never forget that the Constitution is the basis for the great heritage of America and the foundation of the way of our life. Lord, at this time I pray for City Council, give them your wisdom and your knowledge to make right decisions for this community. Lord, bless each one of us who are here. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
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 Okay, we have a couple of presentations to begin our meeting out with. So if I can ask the council to join me at the podium. We have a proclamation and some service awards to present. You're up first.
Good evening, everybody. I have the pleasure of reading the proclamation from the City of Ridgecrest for Constitution Week 2022. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to the rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2022 marks the 235th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, we, the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest and the State of California do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Proclaimed this 21st day of September 2022 by Mayor Eric Bruin, Mr. Scott Heyman, Mr. Rajaratnam, Ms. Peggy Breeden, and myself. Thank you. few words to say.
Since 1890, the Daughters of the American Revolution have been guided by three objectives: patriotism, education, and historic preservation. In 1955, in adherence to those objectives, DER petitioned then-President Dwight D. Eisenhower to sign Public Law 915 and to issue a proclamation every year to commemorate Constitution Week. We thank this City Council and Mayor Bruin for this proclamation on behalf of the Panamint Springs chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. I would like to share just one interesting fact about the writing of the Constitution. In one of the early drafts, it did not begin with those all-important words we all know, "we the people." It began with, "we the people of the state of Virginia," "we the people of the state of Delaware," etc., etc. How wise they were to take the states out of the preamble and leave it as, "we the people of the United States." Thank you.
Over there, up here, where's the
The
mic?
whole council, would that be?
That's
Yeah.
I'll go right there.
You guys want to please come up?
Please do.
This is our
Picture platform.
our photo stage. Right there next to this plate.
I don't want to be in the picture.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My favorite week of the year. September 17th, yes, that's what I said, my favorite week of the year. I said it was, the best anniversary of the Constitution was its 191st.
Oh, I was going to say, what's so special about that one?
September 17th.
Ah,
So I always relate to the Constitution. Okay. So thanks to a losing contest of rock, paper, scissors, I get the joy and privilege and pleasure of recognizing some of our staff on their anniversary dates. 3 of the staff are not here this evening, so I'm going to go and recognize them by name, and then we'll get their certificates to them. Nicholas Dilda, and for 5 years of service to the City of Ridgecrest. Laura Kinney for 5 years of service to the City of Ridgecrest. And Kenneth Merzlach Jr. for 15 years of service to the City of Ridgecrest. Thank you, each of you, for your continued service to our community and everything you do for our citizens. Then I have 2 that are here, and first, if I could ask Richard Wall to come up and receive his recognition for 5 years of service to the City of Ridgecrest. Thank you, sir. And if I can do it for a second, we're going to do a picture afterwards if I can. And then this next one is interesting because I don't know whether I expected it to be 5 years or 10 years, but I've probably been in service with this person for about 15 years in different ways. And that's for our city planner, Heather Spurlock, celebrating her 5th year anniversary with the City of Ridgecrest. And for those of you who don't know, Heather was with the Chamber of Commerce for many, many years, and we worked side by side through the different reigns of the Chamber. So it's a pleasure to continue to work with her at the city, and thank you for your service. If I could ask both of you to join me with the City Council for a quick photo, and thank you again. If I could ask a quick round of applause for both of them, and for all of our employees, thank you for your service to the city.
I don't want to be in the background of the picture. It looks silly.
Okay, come on, Peggy. Otherwise they're going to say they can't see you. Thank you guys very much. Did you take those back?
Yes. Thank you. You're welcome.
Once again, thank you to our incredible staff of the city and for everything you do for our community. Next item on our agenda is public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments, but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes, and the public comment section of the agenda is limited to 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name, and we'll begin with comment from the floor. Is there any public comment from the floor?
Yes, my name is Mike Neal. First, I want to point out that mysteriously, the crime statistics page on the Ridgecrest website for about since September 8th, actually, has been totally non-functional. That's something that's always been available. And lo and behold, now that people are having to think about the need for the police department and their needs and their salaries and how's the city doing as far as crime goes, you can't see it anymore. So I've already sent in 2 emails asking to get that fixed. So far, no fix. So I'd like somebody to respond to me at some point soon whether they're going to get that fixed or not. As far as the city website and other city activities on Facebook and so forth, there's also a lot of shadowy campaigning going on so far as, oh, we want to take a survey so we can tell you that lots of people want the pool and we want to give you information, quote unquote, about how much we need Measure P, so forth and so on. Well, that's highly questionable both ethically and legally. We will see how it works out for you on those fronts. Now, as far as what I just mentioned, Measure P, there's been a lot of statements about how much you need the tax. Let me just point out the fact that the way the ballot measure has been crafted, I'm sure at the work of your lawyers, if you look at all the things they need the tax for, we need it for fire stations, you need it for 911, which is police, you need it for the pool, you need it for emergency medical, you need it for street repair, you need it for rec programs, and other city services, so forth and so on. Well, if that's not a specific sales tax, making that a list like that, I don't know, but of course, what else is there? You had listed everything that the city does, so you're trying to, craft a 2-colored llama here, in my mind, and you want to use it for specific things, but you want to throw out everything, the frying pan and this every pot that's in the kitchen, so you can say we're going to spend it on whatever we want to spend it on. So people, when you look at this, don't think that this oversight committee is worth a dime, because all I could do is sit there and go, look at the expenditures and go, yeah, you spend it on anything and everything. That's easy to do. As far as the fire study, if people want to look at the documentation, this have a document on multiple Facebook pages called Why Vote No, Measure P. That's all in there. And the fire services thing is basically going to net the city about $3 million of profit that they can use for anything else other than paying for the fire services contract, because that's not going up to 1.42 million extra for 6 years, and yet that's the number that keeps getting thrown out, 1.2 million extra, 1.2 million extra. Well, not for a long time. What about the police? Well, we've been told the police are underpaid. I also put up police salaries today. There's 10 to 11 police officers whose pay without benefits comes to over $100,000. About 10 or 11 more, it's still over $90,000. So people say, oh, well, they're paid more in Bakersfield. Well, yeah, go to Bakersfield and take some higher pay and deal with the cartel drug people over there. Ridgecrest is a nice place to police because there's not a lot of crime here. There never has been. And so be reasonable here. And also be fully transparent when you put your police chief up to do basically campaigning for Measure P, have him provide this information. Don't make citizens go hunt things like this down. How about the parks? Well, you've already are going to spend $3.65 million on your parks with this ARP grant money that, as far as I'm concerned, you are misusing entirely. So, do you need it for parks? I don't think so. I don't think a lot of other people are going to think so. You got enough money for the fire services. You got enough money for streets. That's always already covered in Measure V. And you got enough money, if you want, out of your budget surplus, which is a documented fact, you could hire 4 officers. They cost you about $250,000 a year. You got way over enough in that surplus to hire these 4 more officers that you say that you've lost. So I'm urging people to think for themselves, look at all the facts. If you just ask for a smaller sales tax, I might not even be up here, but going for another $6 million per year out of your citizens' pockets. And I know you're going to say, oh, citizens don't pay it all. Well, they pay a lot of it, and they don't need to be paying more tax.
Any other public comment from the floor? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the phones? It appears not. We'll go and get back to our regular agenda. Next item on our agenda is council announcements and direction. Any council announcements? We'll start from the left. Nothing? No? None? None? Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to welcome the NTSI TEM conference to China Lake. We have about 400 attendees visiting our community. These are people visiting and taking advantage of all the incredible technology and the innovation that comes through those synergies. I got a chance to meet with them and welcome them to our community last night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping to support our community. And that's just one example of how people coming into this community help to build and improve the base of our community. So thank you for being here. Thank you for using our hotels. Thank you for eating at our restaurants and shopping in our stores. We appreciate having you. Next item is our consent calendar. All items listed on the consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. Excuse me. I will now read each item. We have one item, which is item number 3, proposed action to approve draft minutes of the Ridgecrest City Council regular meeting dated September 7th, 2022. Does any member of the council wish to have the item pulled? Does any member of the public wish to have the item pulled? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, next item is item number 4, which is discussion regarding the board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Mr. Heyman.
Thank you, Mayor. So yes, we did meet last Wednesday on September 14th. We had a rather short meeting, and I will go over some of the highlights of that meeting. We had one primary agenda item. It was the update on water purchase financing and potential financing offers. And so Wolf Hansen continues the process to move forward on the financing of the water purchase. And so that item required no action. And so it's just an update. Following that, we had the Water Resources Manager's Report. So I'll go over some of the highlights of that. So starting with the groundwater dependent ecosystems, Jean from she was the presenter of that. The groundwater dependent ecosystems are plant areas in the valley where they're dependent upon the groundwater. And so basically they're looking for changes in water levels, changes in vegetation, and subsequent impacts on the ecosystems. And so they're continuing with that process. Subflow from Rose Valley to Indian Wells Valley. That project continues to move forward, and so they'll be drilling the well out in the Rose Valley area. I had a question for Jean in regards to water sampling and quality as to where once that well's drilled, will they be taking other data from it? And she said yes, they will, and that it will be added into the water quality sampling that's currently going on. And in regards to that, there was an update on In the past, when COVID was at its peak, we were a little behind on the taking water quality samplings, and so we're ahead of the game now. We're actually taking more water samplings than prior to COVID, and this will just add more data to that process. Let's see, we had recycled water program, or the update. And so basically, the main highlight of that is that analysis has determined that the advanced treatment and injection into the basin and the available recycled water is the most feasible project. So they're continuing to move forward with the recycled water program with a direct injection. What else did we have? This is a good one. The annual report, it was brought to our attention that the final draft annual report will be presented at the board meeting a couple weeks prior to being forwarded to DWR. There were some repeated issues with the water district on not being able to review that information prior to going out to DWR. So it's nice to see that it will be presented to the board prior. And what else? I already went over the Rose Valley data. Councilmember Blades had a comment or a question in regards to one of the concerns that the water district had in regards to the quality of the water coming from AVEC, which is Antelope Valley East Kern, which we're looking at. That's where the pipeline would be laid from there to Ridgecrest, and the quality of that water. And it was reassured to us that that water would be brought to quality standards through filtration, and that there is not an issue as to whether or not we would have quality water coming from AVEC. It would be top-notch quality water. So aside from that, I believe that's all I have. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask away.
No, I think you addressed all the questions I had. I watched the meeting. It was a quick one. It was a short one. Yeah, you covered everything all the questions I had. Thanks.
I don't have any questions. I just want to remind the listeners and the audience that the IWVGA meetings are also available through the City of Ridgecrest YouTube channel. We encourage you to watch and be participants. We get the joy of watching these meetings. You get to participate in them. I get to watch them from my office while they're going on and listen and work at the same time. But thank you for your good work on that. And I encourage the citizens to continue to listen as we make great progress on our water issues. Peggy?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, with no other questions from the council, I'll take it out to the public. Is there any public questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council, and we'll move on to item number 5. Item number 5 is introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest amending the Ridgecrest Municipal Code as it relates to conflicts of interest.
So every 2 years, we have to reevaluate our code, and we send it to the attorney. They look it over, go over our city org chart, any new titles we may have added to positions. And as you can see in the staff report, we did add some positions and change one title. And at this moment, I don't have anything else to say. If you have some questions, just let me know. It's very simple.
Okay. So I'll go from right to left. Peggy, any questions? Scott?
I have none.
Solomon? No? Kyle?
Very easy.
No, sir.
We're going to set a new land speed record
Yes, we
tonight. This is a fairly straightforward. This is, again, more routine. We've got a lot of work that we've been doing, so. I will go ahead and, I have no comments. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Is there any comments on the phone? Seeing none. I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to waive the reading in full of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest amending the Ridgecrest Municipal Code as it relates to conflicts of interest.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Next item is a motion to introduce by title only an ordinance of the City of Council of the City of Ridgecrest amending the Ridgecrest Municipal Code as it relates to conflicts of interest. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote. You guys make this so easy. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just for the record, the motion also included conducting the first reading of that ordinance.
We did the motion for the waiving of the reading in full.
Right. That's fine. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I missed something.
I was that, oh, okay.
You're good.
Okay. Next on our item is our committee reports. We have 3 committee reports tonight. Economic Development. I'm going to let Kyle speak. We haven't heard enough of him from tonight.
Hey, I'm trying to keep my mouth shut. We did meet Economic Development last Thursday. I think it was Thursday, yep. And we didn't have a whole lot to discuss, to be honest with you. A lot of the stuff is the same old routine, but we want to make sure that we're maintaining the meetings. I know it's probably disheartening to the public when they see cancellations to committees, so I think it's important to me anyways to keep up the routine of the committee calendar. Megan gave us a synopsis of where various businesses are that are coming in. It's nothing new. We know what's happening because it's already happened, right? So I don't know what else to say. Really, there's not much else that happened.
So the only one I didn't know of, well, I knew of it, but I didn't quite have all the details, was that the 3rd and 4th hotel for development is coming before Planning Commission, I believe, shortly. And that's the scraped area over by Carl's Jr., correct?
That's correct.
It's a good sign for what's happening with our continued need for tourism, so. Okay. Anything, Solomon, you want to add? Nope, okay. Next committee is Finance. That's you and me, Doc. Who's taking it?
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
I'll help.
So again, finance is my favorite committee probably because I get to talk numbers as opposed to quality of life, where we talk about our citizens and their needs and taking care of their needs. Finance city is in good order. We have a lot of things that we are working on. The biggest challenges that we're still dealing with are seeing the recovery of our TOT over time, and we're talking about where are we moving forward on a couple different projects. How do we use our long-term assets? How do we manage them? And then secondarily, also our accounts, what they would call, I call it our accounts payable, but Sri might give it a different, but she calls it the carryovers. And the interesting story from that is the carryovers are what projects aren't done year over year, but the money's been reserved. And I remember the old adage, and I've never worked in government, you don't give up government money because once it's assigned to you, you hold on to it like it's gold, and that's an old military story I've been told. And one of the things that we talked about in the very beginning was how do we clean up or reduce the number of carryovers, in terms of years over years. And I want to commend the finance department. They did a great job of really slicing into those and cleaning it up substantially, and I appreciated that. I think it was about 10 pages front and back last year, and I think it was 3 or 4 this year in comparison, front and back. So, they made great strides in that and seeing our projects continuing to move forward. We had just some general discussions in regards to where ARPA was, where our sales tax revenue was, our future predictions, especially in regards to property tax, and then HDL was, we requested some information on how the Wayfair decision affects local purchases, that we got some feedback on, and how just all of those things come work. We get a lot of questions, especially in light of Measure P right now, of, what happens, if I buy a car out of town, it hurts Ridgecrest. Well, no, it doesn't. You can believe that, but no, it doesn't. That's, it hurts us that locally that we should be able to support our local car dealers, and they've been here for a long time, and we appreciate their being part of our business and our community. But trying to address some of those, shall we call them, rumors that are created. Okay, anything else that you want to add? The business license, just the change of the forms?
Right.
So they are doing a slight change to the form that went out for the business license. Just a little general cleanups. The biggest thing I would say is our finance department is not just sit on their laurels waiting around for changes. And then
We can pay online.
you can pay online. We talked a lot about how we can streamline that in the future. There might have been a little pushing by the mayor to say anything that we can do to it sounds terrible. I hate removing personality and service from how we do things, but the fact is that I'm going to be a lot more apt as a business owner to jump online, finish it, and be done with it, and not have to think about it again. And to pay it in that 2 minutes than I am to take 5 minutes to hop out of the car, drive down to the window, write a check at the window, socialize, and go back. Especially if I'm actually trying to grow my business, then that becomes a burden. So how many more things can we drive through those online channels was one of the questions for finance to continue to look at in the future. And thank you for that, sir. Did you have anything else to add?
Nope, I think you covered it quite well.
This is another great meeting. I will go ahead and confirm what some people have said, which is the city has been doing well, and it did well during the COVID process. But that was largely, I think we fairly recognize that it did well because this was a community that went into remote workforce 9 months before remote workforce existed. Once again, the blessings of those earthquakes in creating an environment where we were able to thrive through a pandemic where other communities struggled. That was a great benefit to us. Okay, next is RACVB. Megan?
Just have a few updates for you guys. So a few upcoming events. We have the Viewfinders Grand Prix, which is a motorcycle race at the Desert Empire Fairgrounds. It's going to be held the weekend of October 1st. That's going to happen. And then they also have a softball tournament October 8th, as well as an overnight soccer tournament that same weekend. So a few sporting events coming through in the month of October. Let's see, what else did we talk about? So I don't have the numbers on the occupancy yet, but we know this NICE event was really good for our local hotels. I believe most of them were completely sold out. It was hard to find a room, so that's good. I'll have the numbers for you guys at the next update. We do welcome a new director to our board, Aladdin Obeid. I'm sorry, Aladdin, I'm probably butchering his pronunciation of his last name. The owner of Pita Fresh, he's going to be joining us on the board of the RACVB, replacing Kent McGowan, the owner of Max. So we'll look forward to having him on the RACVB board. And we're also, well, not we, they're also hiring for a film and events coordinator. It's going to be a part-time position, so anybody interested should reach out to Carrie for more information on that. Other than that, they're moving forward with a lot of new outreach for the film industry. They're going to have what they call a FAM tour, welcoming industry experts and representatives for the film industry to the area, getting them familiar with Ridgecrest and the surrounding areas to help push that forward. And that new position that they're hiring for, that's going to be the primary goal of that, is to help with the film and events coordination. So a lot of events coming in October. As a side note, the Randsburg General Store will be closing in October, so if anybody hasn't been out there yet, I would encourage people to go out there and support them before they close in October. So, other than that, it was a pretty brief meeting this morning. I believe Solomon was there as well. If you have anything to add,
I think they mentioned about per diem increase also, right?
I actually did have that in my notes. Yes. So they did get the per diem rate for FY23 is going to be up from 116 to 123. So.
Yeah, and their budget is on track. They are in black. So
Yeah,
as
we're
you
doing really
mentioned,
good with the budget.
hotels were full. One of the directors was saying that they could not find a room for one person. So they called all the hotels and there was no vacancy at all, it seems.
Yeah, we had, I guess, a lot of the regular contractors, came in expecting their room to be there, and they ran into a bit of a problem with all the people coming in from out of town for this event. So people were having to literally scramble to try and find rooms. I believe everybody was able to find accommodations, but it should be a really big boon in our occupancy rates for this week. So I'll have those numbers for you at the next meeting, because I'd be interested to see them as well. On a side note, the BLM is busy working at the Pinnacles, doing more meetings with location site reps, so expect to see a lot more filming experiences happening nearby. And as Solomon mentioned, the budget is really good. They're in the black. We did approve the budget for the next fiscal year, which starts in October, and it's looking really good. So I didn't really have much else to add.
Yeah.
I know the marketing took a little bit of a dip because August, it's hot, not a lot of people are coming to Death Valley or the desert, but I know that they're still interested in promoting their outreach to locals as well, letting people know what they have here in their own backyard. So, and just as a side, I did just go to the NICE social hour. There was a ton of young contractors and people from out of town there. It was a good environment. So looking forward to seeing what they do with that new events position and maybe get some more kind of events like that going on.
I made a little bit of a mistake earlier, and then somebody texted me in the middle of it, and I was trying to figure out what they were saying. What, I apologize because I don't know, what does the acronym stand for?
Oh, gosh. NISE.
I'm supposed to know this.
Yeah, Kyle.
Because I'm actually, so it's Naval Innovations,
Naval
Science,
Innovation-
I think it's.
And engineering?
No, it's like exchange. Because, so the whole purpose of NICE, and TEM is TEM, it said TEM, it's a technical exchange meeting.
A technical exchange meeting.
And what it is, it's what the NICE is how it's pronounced, NISE, TEM, is various bases across the the country. They'll hold these get-togethers, and we got lucky enough to have it here this year, and it's actually a pretty big thing. That's actually a big thanks to Dan Carino. He raised his hand, when the right people were talking, and said, "Hey, let's have it here." And then, of course, the base itself has put forth a great effort. I don't know if anybody here, besides myself, works on base, but if you drive on base, you will see that it's like there's nothing but just tons of tents all over the front, the lawn in front of the White House. So it's a big ordeal. There's visitors from all over the place, and the technology that they're discussing is it's the future of the Department of Defense. So brilliant stuff.
Naval Innovation, Science and Engineering.
Yeah, man, I don't.
Science exchange, technical
Exchange meeting.
exchange meeting. Okay, there you go. For our listener out there that let me know, Gina, I think was, I apologize, I did not know the exact acronym letters.
No, and that's my apology. I didn't know it either, so I just went with the acronyms. Thank you all. Did you have any other questions?
No.
Thanks.
Just as a mental note, they held their reception at the Welcome Center last night. I also know that there was, they were Peter Fresh night. They were at the Welcome Center last night, and there was was it the Republican Women's Group that was at there was another group that was, just a couple of recent pictures where we're seeing the Welcome Center being used as an incredible location for bringing groups together, and such a great way to bring and show Ridgecrest when you come into town. I encourage you to continue to get over there. If you haven't seen our Welcome Center, take 2 minutes, go inside, and really see what that is, because it's a beautiful addition to our community. Okay. Next is other committees, boards, or commissions. I know EKEA met last week. I could not get out. Do you want to provide any? We'll bring it up at a future meeting. I won't leave you in that position. Any other boards or commissions?
Yes, KernCog met. There was I had a few notes out of that. And a lot of these really, and I'm sure, Mr. Reed, that you're probably on, because I know that there's two different calls. Basically, you have the electeds meet, and then you also have a regular staff call. Is that correct? And I think there's been a lot of discussion about a Reconnecting Communities grant, and I don't think that any of it applies for us. The discussion was between, I think, Cal Cities and, but I don't think it actually went through. Caltrans, so that didn't go through. There's going to be another round of Clean California grants. It's going to be a little bit less, a little more stringent, but we can apply again. Well, there's going to be October 15th and 16th. It's going to be an Edwards Air Show. So if anybody's interested. Let's see, we already know
If you
about.
bought tickets for the 2020 show, you don't. They're gone, as I discovered harshly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's rough. Let's see. Alancha to Stovepipe Wells. That road's closed. So Travis, correct me. MPO. Do you remember what that acronym stands for? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but our county MPO share, which is the amount of money that comes down, I believe, from the federal government, is $17 million this year. It's up drastically. And I'm saying that as a good thing. It's a good thing because that's more of a share if we compete to bring, I guess I shouldn't look at Travis anymore. I'm gonna look over here at Mr. Strand. If we compete for those dollars, that's potentially more money to help fix our roads. I get the feeling there's going to be more of a chance with the more dollars floating around. We also found out that ATP and federal dollars can be used for bike lanes. I didn't know that, but we found that out. So that's it for KernCog. I guess now would also be the appropriate time to report that I was our representative for the League of California Cities. For those who don't know what the League of California Cities is, it's, for lack of a better term,
It's our trade associations.
okay, yeah, that's a good, I was going to say lobbyist. Yeah, but a trade association's good. It's made up of representatives from almost every single city in the entire state of California. And I found it pretty enlightening. You go to several different classes, a lot of them hosted by lawyers, but you end up gaining an overall pulse of the state. And it's not quite so much as you would think. I mean, you're meeting people from all different walks, different, political parties. People, I never once, I think I was there for several days and I never heard anybody discuss partisan politics. It was always water. Water came up a few times. There was I'm not going to mention what city, they'd probably be a little bit embarrassed, but there was a small town up in Northern California that said, our city council years ago made a mistake. They sold all of our rights to the bigger city, and now we don't have any. We're paying $2,700 an acre foot, and you get to talk to different councils, mayors, city managers, council members, and get a pulse for what other communities are doing. And what I gleaned is that Ridgecrest, we're doing okay. We're doing well, and we're staying on top of things. And everybody faces issues, but it's all about how you meet the moment. So that's all I had for the League of California Cities. I think that's the BLM Roundtable, I believe, meets pretty soon, Eric.
Yeah, it's, God, I want to say it's this weekend, but don't hold me to that.
I think it's this weekend. Yeah.
I think it's this weekend, because I think I have it right next to something else I was going to announce, just some community announcements for DCOA.
Roger, that's all I got.
Okay. City manager report.
Well, let's see how long I can extend this thing out since I'm getting close to winning the bet. But
You're done in less than 2 minutes, sir.
what's that?
You have to be done in less than 2 minutes, then,
Oh.
sir.
And don't forget, the mic still comes back to me at the end. So.
Oh, never mind. I lost. So staff conducted a online community survey regarding a public pool. The interest was just to find out what the temperature of the community was, if people had access to a private pool or not, if we had a public pool, how many people thought that would be important. It was a short survey. We had it out for a little over a week. When the slide was made, we'd had a total of about 941 responses. I think we're close to 1,000 now. But the survey was quite telling. The first question was, do you have access to a swimming pool? About 72% said no, 28% said yes. And then if yes, do you have access to the pool on base or a privately owned pool? 76% have access to a private pool, and about 24% have access to the base pool. Next question was, do you think it's important for the community to have access to a public pool? About 94% said yes, about 5% said no. And then the next question was, if there was a community swimming pool, would you or your family use it? About 89% said yes, 11% said no. Now, what I thought was the most telling part about the survey was we did invite free text comments in the survey, and we had about 60% of those who responded, about 570, actually made comments, which I thought was quite telling. It does appear that, although this is not scientific, anybody that could access our Ridgecrest Facebook page could take the survey. We did have one safety protocol in there, was that you couldn't, do it multiple times from the same device. So we know that this came from at least, 1,000 different devices. So it's just an indicator on how the public feels about the potential or the need for a community pool. So on top of that, today we also put out another survey. Now, by the way, I want to thank Isabel and Jennifer for generating the survey. They worked on the questions and the format and got it out to the public, so they did a really good job. So with that, I had Isabel and Jennifer develop another survey regarding the quality of life. Now that there has a little bit of a twist to it. One, we just getting the feeling of what people feel is important for quality of life, activities, what they feel is important in the community, and then we kind of narrowed it down to have a couple of questions for those who work on base that have been there less than 5 years and asking whether or not the quality of life would affect their decision to stay within our community, because that is one of the concerns that we've gotten from the base is that they're having a hard time retaining people. And so we're hoping that through this survey, we're going to get enough of those people who have had less than 5 years on base participate, and we can kind of get just a general idea of what the sense is that whether or not it's the actual quality of life that is, part of their decision on why they stay or don't stay. And so I think so far today, we're 30, 40 people have taken the surveys so far. Most people are commenting. And one of the things we're really looking for is obviously these free text comments, because we're getting information from the public, which we think is going to be extremely important to us. Also, as you know, Travis Reed has accepted the job with the Water District. I have hired a Peckham and McKinney, a professional recruiting company, to help us find our next Public Works Director. I anticipate that process is going to take 4 to 5 months. Might have the position filled by next February. So obviously we're working with Travis in that transition on how we're going to handle the multitude of public works projects that are in queue and getting ready to begin. But I think that I think we can, we're going to survive. We're going to make it work. So I believe that is all I have. I will leave Councilman Blades to comment on our town hall meeting we had on organic trash. So that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you, sir. Okay, future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items? I'm seeing none. Mayor and council comments. We'll go right to left with Peggy, and we'll get down to Kyle and then let him go. Spin him up. And
I just want to thank everybody for all their comments that made after my announcement on my health issues, and I appreciate so many of you. I would like to say one thing. It seems to me it's important that we remember we're community, that we work together, and we must find a way to work together. I'm very frustrated when I listen to some of the things, read some of the things I see on Facebook. I don't know when we got to the us and them, that there are some people who are clearly wiser about where we are than I am in this community, because they know things and motives of all of us. And to think that it's okay to say whatever you want about anybody because it is okay because I'm anonymous or I have this name that doesn't mean anything. I'm not speaking personally. I'm speaking about all of us who live in this community. We have got to quit hitting on each other. There is no way you can hit on somebody's head over and over and over and expect to come back to them and say, now work with me, because it doesn't happen. I don't care how wonderful you are, how ecumenical you are in your thought process. Say it, mean it, live it. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Scott.
Good words, Peggy. Let's see. First, I'd like to thank or congratulate Travis, and I wish him well. And then I only have one brief comment on want to add to the acronym night tonight, so thank you, Peggy, for this acronym. EKCRCD will be having a plant sale. I'll go ahead and explain to that. That's East Kern County Resource Conservation District. And they'll be having a desert plant sale at, I believe it's the Matarango Museum, and that's going to be on Saturday, September 24th. So they'll be selling plants that are, desert plants that are, heat and water tolerant, and probably good plants that have been raised, I would think locally and that type of thing. So if you have any, you want to buy some plants for your yards that are xeriscape or drought tolerant, it'll be on, again, Saturday, September 24th. Don't have a time. I don't know if we may have a time here, but
Sorry, I gotta look it up.
11 a.m.
There it is. You beat me, you're good.
Does it say 11? I don't trust him out there.
Yes.
Okay.
11 a.m. to 12. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Rajadam.
Thank you.
A couple of things. I was shocked to see in the newspaper that Water District picked Travis Reed as general manager. No, I'm just kidding. I knew about that.
Second date. This was the talk.
But yeah, it's good. I mean, thank you so much for what all you did to this community. You had a plan, you executed that plan, so the roads look good because of you. So you did a great job, and it would be a great loss for the city. Maybe someday you will be unhappy with Water District and come back to us. Yeah. So the other thing.
More unhappy with them.
Other thing is, it's sad about the demise of Chuck Cordell. He has been a strong pillar in this community, so he has supported so many community events, especially supported the veterans in this community. So may God give his peace to his family.
Kyle?
Yeah, a few things just to follow back up on that acronym that I fumbled over. Naval Innovative Science and Engineering. That's NICE, N-I-S-E. To move on to a town hall we had just last week. The purpose was to continue the walk with the community through this calamity that we all know as SB 1383. And I label it as a calamity because what you're watching is your city staff and your city council do the best they can with what they were handed from the state of California. And if that sounds like I'm passing the buck, I'm not. Because what we've done, we'll own it. I don't think we have any problem doing that. The city council doesn't seem to have a problem with making tough decisions and sticking with them, and I think we're going to continue to do that. So we held the town hall, and I hope we hold more in the future, and I think we're going to keep on with it. I would like to do it at least once a month, staff permitting, because it does take staff hours. There's folks, sitting back there running, thank you for being behind the glass and running the technology. And I appreciate, Ron, you being here, and Megan, you guys. I received multiple comments as I was leaving. Man, Megan sure knows a lot. Multiple times. Boy, that Megan sure is smart. I said, yep, she's pretty good. But let's not tell her that too much, because she might get a big ego.
Water District is shocking.
Yeah, everybody's gonna steal Megan too. And I appreciate you guys being there. I don't want to digress. I appreciate you guys being there, and that was huge. Thank you, Mr. Mann, for being there for waste management. So what I did is I started with talking through SB 1383 and what the intent was, what the state of California believes it is. I think it would be dishonest to say that there was just ill intentions across the board. I think that there is yes, we are a republic, right? But this republic is still, democracy is the way we do it. It's the way we govern. In the state of California, it passed through the legislature. The governor signed in 2016, SB 1383, and there's a whole lot of people who voted for their representatives to push that agenda through, whether you agree with it or not. And so I spent some time discussing that. How did the state of California come to where it is, and how are we implementing it? And I think that we dug through most of those questions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There were just a few things that were specific to the county that we didn't want to, we knew, but we didn't want to make those decisions for the county out in the public. So we hope to hold another meeting. That meeting's going to hope to have a county representative there. I don't want to promise that in case it doesn't happen. And I'm happy to walk back through any of those questions or additional questions with anybody at any time. I continue to do it outside the front of Costa Corona or in Albertsons. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to do it. It was a good meeting, I think. I think it went well. I think there was people who showed up frustrated and left maybe less frustrated. There were some people who showed up angry and left content. I'm going to use that word. I think that fits. So I hope to do more of those in the future. I mean, Skip, you were there. How do you think it went?
It had a surprising amount of gentility. There was less anger than I would have expected. And I agree with you. It was useful.
Yes, thank you. That very well described. So hopefully we'll do more in the future. I look forward to that. I think as far as SB 1383, did I miss anything, Ron? Was that a decent synopsis? Okay. Yeah. See, Megan is pretty sharp. There's FAQs on the website. So at the meeting, we handed out packets with all the frequently asked questions. Most of the things that people wanted to address were right there in the packet. If they aren't, please send me an email. You can send anybody on the council. It's not just me. Everyone on the council knows how we're doing things, the city manager, the staff. But if you just need a point person, I'm happy to be that guy. I think, is there anything else on the website that I'm forgetting, Megan? There's a ton of stuff on the website. Go to the website. Okay, go to the website, SB 1383. It's all there. Let's see. And the only other thing I wanted to comment on is I try not to look at social media. I do my best not to fall into that trap because I don't think it's too good for anybody to stick themselves inside of an echo chamber and keep hearing people that agree with them or keep echoing out sentiments that aren't good for the community. I think it's good to get out information. I think it's good to glean, maybe things you hadn't thought of. What I hope that anybody is doing, if you're a voter, no matter which way you're voting, who you're voting for, what prop, whether it's yes or no, I've gotten a lot of questions. I try to be objective as I can. Don't take my word for it. Come down to a committee, please. If you really want to know about the finances of the city of Ridgecrest, it's all out there on the website. If you don't believe that, that's okay. Or if the website's clunky for you, I understand. Come down to a committee meeting. You have several council members there held captive with the staff. They're there to answer all those questions. Was that the wrong wording? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more talking about the staff. I mean, the council seems to enjoy torturing the staff, but that's the way it goes. But they're there. They're there and they're present, and that's our job, is to make ourselves available to the community. And so we're happy to do that. If you have a question about Parks and Recs program, come down. Narissa will have the answer. She's always had the answers every time I've texted her, or called, or yeah. So whatever that thing is, please just come down and talk to somebody. Whatever that answer is, it may have changed in the last few years. Chances are that it has. And if you're holding on to old beliefs that things that disappointments from the past, there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. I think that was the extent of what I had to say. I just want to make sure that people that they're not being indifferent to the truth. Let's actually figure out what's really going on. Thank you.
Councilman Heyman, you had some edits or revisions to make?
Yes. So on Saturday, September 24th, it's going to be an educational talk on desert plants, and the actual plant sale will be on October 29th at the fairgrounds. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out there and didn't have people looking for the plant sale. So 24th, this coming Saturday, will be a educational talk on desert plants, and then the 29th will be the plant sale.
Thank you, sir. Solomon? Oh, did I already go down? I went all the way through, didn't I? Okay.
You're up.
Oh, it's me. Well, let me start by echoing the sentiments of Councilman Breeden, Councilman Blades, and everyone else that a little bit of civility goes a long way. I have the joy of having 2 children in Cub Scouts and being the assistant Cub master for Pack 341 here in Ridgecrest. And the Scout law, is a Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And I learned that when I was 7 years old. And it's served me for 40 plus years of my life in terms of understanding what it means to, if you can hold those 12 words in what you do, it goes a long way. I wish some people understood that one of those, is friendly, trustworthy, and that the people that are up here serving this community are up here because they love this community first and foremost, and there's no greater force driving them to serve than first and foremost their true heartfelt compassion and concern for this community. So I thank all of my council members for all of their service, and I know that's what makes this team so efficient is the fact that we can get up here, we can have some serious conversations, talk about civility, and then explain why Travis Reed is such a loser for leaving the city. Because we can have fun and we can believe in making a positive input and a positive change in our environment. And so for those reasons, I'm going to continue to reiterate those positive and wonderful things about our community. And I saw somebody walk in the door here. Oh, they're already trying to, I thought you muted me to get it over with. I'm like, man, that's a clever move. That's a clever move.
He's trying to prolong it.
Yeah, there was a clever move. But a young man who I admire walked in the door, and that's Mr. Dave Janik. Congratulations, Dave, on your upcoming recognition. Thank you for everything you do for this community. And Dave walking in the door brings to mind AB 2494, which is the bad news of the other side of the coin, which is redistricting. For those of you that aren't aware, Governor Newsom signed into law AB 2494, which removed the ability for the Kern County Board of Supervisors to manage their own district lines and place it in the hands of a nonpartisan public commission. And the terms nonpartisan is about as believable as the words bull and blank. Okay, and I'm not afraid to say that because I experienced the nonpartisan Citizens Redistricting Commission for close to a year of my first term, and it was far from it. AB 2494 just stripped Kern County of its ability to direct how its supervisors manage its area, and I believe in 2030 will result in a single supervisory district to cover Eastern Kern that will encompass the size of the state of Delaware.
And he's not kidding.
I'm not making that slide. I mean, we just had this conversation about facts. Go research it yourself. I'll be happy to show you the hours of time we spent on this. But that's just an example of what a good council and what good people do, is they are aware of what's happening. They are in tune with what's happening. And I could even go so far as to say that's what we want from our elected officials, and I'm proud to be part of this team that's doing that. And that includes taking your feedback as a community, asking you about what the importance of the community pool is, asking you what the importance of retention is. Because let's just say that you as citizens make the decision to approve Measure P. And you put in our hands the ability to make those decisions on the behalf of the community. And we should fail to make any of those decisions, well, then that is absolutely a failure on our behalf. But I know I'm ready and prepared to stand up here and say that I'm not going to fail at that. I'm pretty confident the men and women to my left and to my right are not going to fail at that. And so I would just say everyone out there who wants to say the word can and the word would and the word isn't going to try us. Why don't you let us prove ourselves first? But that's that. I want to mention 2 more things, and again, the beautiful service for Mr. Cordell. Chuck was a friend. He was also somebody who I had worked with for years in different projects. Sorry to see his loss, and my heart and soul goes out to Denise and the entire Cordell family. That's the second community leader we lost this year alongside, I mean, we've lost other community leaders, but I'll say shocking surprise community leaders. Chuck was not well for a while, but he had been on the mend, and him and Jason Patton's departure are two big holes left in the heart of this community, and we thank their families for giving so much of them to the Ridgecrest community. I also want to jump on something about, for Peggy Breeden. We talked about social media, and we talked about how people like to fling their swords and their arrows without information. And Peggy got a few flung at her after she spoke up about the incident she had outside of her business. And you know, I know Peggy Breeden. I know that if Peggy finds somebody who, whether they're indigent or hurt or troubled or whatever is going on with them, that woman, I mean, she would not only provide them a meal, but she would probably take the shirt off her own back to make somebody warm if that's what it meant to do, and that was the right thing to do. Anybody out there who doesn't believe that needs to come down and actually meet the woman, talk to the woman, and understand the incredible heart and soul that she's had for this community. You didn't deserve that, Peg, and I'm sorry that our community saw your words as something demeaning rather than the kindness I know that you showed.
Thank you.
Then a couple of important events coming up. Just want to invite everyone out to Saracosa Community College this Friday night for their Foundation's annual Star Party. If you haven't ever been out to this, it is a blast. We have the most beautiful dark skies out here in Ridgecrest. You will not find these in other communities. Come out, go up to the observatory and see what Ridgecrest has to show you by getting out there and seeing the stars. It's beautiful. And it also supports, obviously, our local, our college foundation. And then if you didn't know it, or if you haven't heard them, the Desert Community Orchestra is performing this Saturday at the Desert Empire Fairgrounds. This is a community orchestra put together by volunteers. They get out there, and it's the Pirates Bonanza. And it's in the mid-afternoon. If you want something fun for just to see talented musicians pouring their heart out again for the community, I would encourage you to go see the DCOA. And then finally, it's 1 month. 1 month from now, we'll all be excited to return the Desert Empire Fair to our community. Last year's fair was the largest we had seen in years. I hope to see everyone out there just as much in force. I think we're going to have a great fair this year. I think we're going to have a great opportunity to meet, shake hands, see our friends, ride rides, and have a great time being a part of the Ridgecrest community. With that, I wish everyone a wonderful evening at 7:10. I don't know who won the bet, and we will wish you a good evening.